Hello and welcome back. In this video, we will learn about the attribute selectors in CSS. In case you do not know what is an attribute of HTML elements, you can just briefly recap here. So basically the attributes are the properties which we pass on to the HTML tags. Something like this href, something like this ID, something like this class. For this inputs, we have the type and so on and so forth. Okay. So what I have done to demonstrate what is the attribute selector, I have created this form here and we will use this form. So I will just close this one. And as you can see, it is quite a simple form. We have some div. The first placeholder is the enter name. Second one is the email, and for the third one, we have a checkbox, which is basically saying I accept the terms and conditions. And the fourth div have a submit button. That is all. Okay. So this is quite simple. You can just pause the video and write this particular code. It should not take some like much time. Okay. So now coming back to the attribute selectors, how we can use that. So I am inside of the MDN documentation, and as you can see, so here is the attribute selector. So what this syntax tells is that the anchor elements which have the title attribute, just select those and so on. So we will discuss everything here. So but before doing so, let's have some hands-on experience. So what I have done, I have just commented out this universal selector one, like the CSS styles. And what I can do, I can just select all of the input and I will show you what is the difference. So input, and then I can do background color to something like red, or something like dark orchid, something like this. Okay. And now if I go to my browser and go to here, so as you can see, all of the input elements have the like the dark orchid color as the background. Okay. And I can type something which is fine, but all of the input elements are there. And you might be wondering why this checkbox is not styled, because checkbox have some different properties and we have to have some different styles for the checkboxes. Like styling up a checkbox is not an easy task. Okay. Anyways, so for example here, I just want when the type is the email, like this field, to have this background color. So how we can do that? We can do that quite easily. So we have to have the square brackets, and then we have to have the type, which is the attribute and which is equals to the email, something like that. What we are saying here is that grab the inputs and then check if the type of the input is set to email. Only if the type is set to email, then apply these styles here. So if I go to the code once again, so it will check, okay, this type is text, so it will not apply the CSS. But here the type is email, so it will apply the CSS. So if I go here, and now as you can see, only the email field is now styled. Now you can go with one step ahead with the attribute selectors, which we have seen here. So here what you can see, we can have multiple different formats. So for example, here what is happening is that we are selecting the anchor elements where the href is exactly equal to example.org. Then apply the color. So we have the similar situation. So if we go here, so as you can see, we have these three links here. One is for Google, one is for MDN, and one is for W3 schools. So what I can do, I can go to the CSS file, and what I can do, yes, so these are the styles here. So I will comment out these styles for now. So our links will be normal once again. Yes, our links are normal now. Now what I'll do, I will select like A, and then I will add the brackets and then href, and then can do whatever the href for the Google is. For example, yeah, so this is the one. So Google. So I can just do something like this, and then I can do color to red, something like that. Now only the link which points to Google is now colored red. So for example, there are some other things which we can do. We have these selectors. So here href, and then we have this star, and star means like the elements with the href which are containing example. So in our case, if I add a star here, so it will check for the elements which have the Google, like this URL inside of that. So here what I can do, I can remove this HTTPS and this one as well, because it will be checking for this particular word, which is Google in our case. So if I go here, so as you can see, nothing is changed because this is the Google one. But if I do something like developer, because this Mozilla one has this developer one here, so the developer text basically inside of the href. So what it will do, it will check, okay, if the URL contains developer, then it will apply the color. So if I go here, now the go to MDN link is now red. Okay, you might have get the idea. So here we have another example, the href, and then the dollar sign, which indicates like the elements with an href ending .org. For example, I can use that to dollar sign and then do something like .com. Okay, and now if I go to our browser and see, everything is now like here, like everything is red except for MDN because it is ending with .org. Okay, so yeah, you get the ideas. So you can basically see the power of the attribute selectors, right? So we have another one, which is this squiggly line, the elements whose class attribute contains the word logo. So basically, if you have like the logo header, logo footer, and you want to have a similar styles for those, you can add this. Okay, so there are a bunch of things going on here. We have this like this caret symbol here represents the elements with an attribute name of the attribute value is prefixed with by the value. What do I mean by that? So basically what is happening is that if we are using this caret symbol, so if I go here, so we can add this caret symbol here, and now what it is saying represents elements with an attribute name of attr, basically this attribute, whose value is prefixed by this. So basically what happens is that the value of this attribute has to be, so basically this href has to be prefixed with .com, otherwise it will not be styled. Okay, so if I go to my browser, there is no styles, right, for these anchor elements because there is no link which starts with the basically with which has a prefix or starts with this particular .com. Okay, so this is the uh, attribute selector in CSS. So I will get rid of that. So you can go to MDN and find this documentation and you can just go through that. So yeah, but basically the main applications which I have done personally is something like this, to just select a particular input or a particular link, right? So we can use this attribute selector to do that.